Oh, Taylor, all of my dreams came true in that few minutes of fiddling with one knob and a few buttons. And that's the dream. That's the dream. I thought that sounded really good though. The actual sound of this box is the main thing I got from spending about 3 hours with this yesterday. Andertons are kind enough now, they're thinking, Jack, your videos are so bad that we're going to actually employ you the day before to learn a little bit about the product. So hopefully in the future I can do more things like this, which has traditionally scared me because I'm a guy that played keyboard. And with these things, I don't want to get into this because, you know, they're just button mashers and knob twiddlers. But this has a lot more to it. So what is the Circuit Tracks? If you're not familiar with it, like I wasn't, there was a product called the Circuit that's been out for a fair few years, and it looks remarkably similar form factor, but the evolution of Circuit seems to have been something that started off with humble beginnings, and then over the years they kept updating it, kept on feeding it with new features, and Novation, from the looks of it, did an amazing job at packing loads of stuff in. And then the Circuit Tracks seems to be the product that they've made at the end of all that innovation, and they've made subtle tweaks to the design and the layout to best implement all of those features that they've developed over the last few years. So what are those and what's in a Circuit Tracks? Very simply, we've got 2 synthesizer engines and 2 tracks with that, 2 external MIDI tracks and 4 drum tracks, but that can be, you can think of that as just a sampler track. And let's hear the thing. That's the main thing in these demos, we want to hear this thing. So to play it, well, firstly, I was playing one of the inbuilt projects. So on the top level of how to use this bit of kit, and you want to come into the store to demo it, or you're going to buy it, get out of the box, hit projects, and then all of these are predetermined projects that they've already put in there with presets and sounds. So let's have a listen to this one. And you're hearing me playing with this master filter, which I love, and also affects the audio coming on the 2 full-size jack, 1/4-inch jack inputs on the back as well. So kind of worth it for that alone as well. So check out the price. But we're going to choose a blank project here. That means that when I hit play, we get nothing, and that's cool. But we're over here, we've hit synth, and it means here that these notes are my little keyboard. Velocity sensitive, pretty cool. If I wanted to change that sound, we have these knobs on top that they're calling the macro knobs. Now on the old one, these had no text below, so I would have been really lost. Luckily on these ones, they've put the text in now, and most of the presets and people who make preset patches for this synth adhere to this convention. So the first one will mess with the oscillator. Here, bringing in a bit of noise. Modulation. Longer envelope, filter envelope. Change change the filter, the resonance, modulate it. And some kind of an effect. So what's great is, if you don't want to get too into the weeds with synthesizers, there are bucket loads of presets in here that you can use as a starting block. Now, if I hit preset, these are all different presets. And we've got pages of them. Probably hearing chords as well. That's because each of these synthesizers are 6-note polyphonic. So you could play 6 pads at one time and still get a noise from it. Pretty darn cool. But let's go back up to this top page. So here we are. You're thinking, hang on a minute, Jack. There's not all the notes of the keyboard there. That's because we can change how the keyboard is laid out for us. So if I hit scales, each one of these peach pads down here will be a different scale. So I think from memory that this one's chromatic. And you see, like, it's changed into a little keyboard. Which I find really handy because I can see chord voices in the notes, or I could go scales and hit this one. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, major scale. So you can lock yourself in a scale, and that means all the notes will work together. Really cool. For this one, let's go for chromatic. We've got a second synth engine, so let me show that off, and let's see what sound we got in there originally. And you're hearing that's a polyphonic one, so I can play chords. Again, I think, I just want to turn the filter down, filter frequency. I like that, that's cool. These external MIDI tracks, one of the new things on the back is we've got full-size MIDI in, out, through. There's even some combinations you can press that will make that into 2 MIDI outputs. And as we get into the sequencing side of things, you'll see how powerful that could be and how this, a lot of people, I could see you buying this over their standalone controllers because you're getting all of that controller work, all the tools that are in the other controllers, but also with built-in sounds. And check it out, Tay-Tay's very excited. We're running off batteries right now. It's got a 4-hour battery life to it with the inbuilt battery. USB-C as well. We're living in the future. Woo! Good things. We like USB-C. MIDI, MIDI. Let's stay away from that because we're just rocking with how far I got out the box. Now, drums. We've got 4 lanes of drum sequencing, and this is what they sound like. And again on that, I think it's 128 slots to put samples in. You might not dig those. Really easy. It's got a micro SD card slot on the back, so you put a micro SD card in there, hook it up to your computer with the USB. You don't even have to download anything. You just go onto a website called Novation Components, and in there, if you're using Chrome, you can just drag and drop samples in. So valuable. And once we start sequencing, you'll see you could have all your favorite. I love this guy called Count Cole. I could put my favorite samples in from him, and just have this as a battery powered box to take around 128 of my favorite drum samples and sequence them. So let's start sequencing some stuff. We're in this drum kit. And one of the new things about it is that it didn't have a click track before. So in this normal bit, normally I'd have to put a 4 on the floor and adjust the tempo. But we can say tempo, and you see it, 120. Let's go for my favorite tempo, 145 beats. You can swing it. We're not going to do that. We're going to keep straight as a die. I like that. And then we go shift, click. And then when I hit play, we've got a click track. That wasn't available before. So if you're looking to upgrade from the circuit, that seems worth it just for that, I'd say, because it would drive me crazy. It drives me crazy. Cool, I can see that going round. At the moment, I've got 16 steps. If I hit this, it's changed colour. That means that I've doubled the amount of steps I've got to play with to 32. So when I play it this time, you'll see it. There we are, blue first 16, orange second 16. So exciting, right? Anyway, I'm trying to teach you what I learned. I can step input it if I want. Rubbish, we don't want to do that. I want to play along with it. So I'm going to hit record and play. So I've got that pattern. Let's put a snare in. So I'm going to go to my second drum track and find a snare or a clap. That'll do. Record, play. Wicked. Let's turn that annoying click off, but it was good for getting started, and this is what we got. I can do unquantized recording just by hitting shift and record, and then that means I could throw it in wherever I want. But let's try some hi-hats. Let's find a hi-hat. And these macros up here, you'll see only a few of them are lit up. They're different because you're treating a sample more than the synth engine. I think this one does the envelope. So I've got a short hi-hat, I can change the pitch. So I could play along. So let's do something like that. Record. Quite like. Tell you what I've done there. You see how I've got patterns of different lengths? So when I'm over here on the first drum track, it's orange. Everything's orange, 32 steps. Over here, when I got to my hi-hat, I haven't expanded it, so I'm going to make that 32 steps and do that again. Cool, so we've got that hi-hat pattern in, hi-pat, and we can see the 3 lanes there. It does a thing called sample flipping, which means that within this track, it means that I could trigger another sound if I wanted to. So this is the snare track that we've got here. Now I could find another sound. Maybe that one. And if I hold this and then tap it in, I'm just going to randomly go for this place, you'll hear it jump in, and so we're getting 2 sounds, but that's called locking a step. It's new to me. You might be there going, oh, it's sample flipping, but it does mean that you don't have to separate out the drums onto the 4 different tracks. You can get a lot more sounds in there. But when it comes to side chaining, which I'll show you in a minute, I think it's worth it. So let's have a listen. So you see what I mean? Bad example, but let's keep moving. This is the beat we've got at the moment, and I'll try to show you some other features that we've got. Let's keep rolling with the synthesizers, because we're building up a track. We've got a beat, we've got a chromatic keyboard. Let's make a sound. And I'm just going to, let's make this 32 bars, 32 steps. Synth 2, let's find a plinky preset. So Synth 2 preset, and I'm going to have a little play. I dig that, and notice that it's in the same key as well. When you're in for some reason the patch preview is very smart. Now, going back to our note view, by the way, if I want more octaves, I can hit note expand, and I've got 2 octaves worth. I quite like that higher octave actually for the plinky stuff, because I'm going to I'm going to put some random notes in, and then I'll show you what we do next. So let's make this 32 steps and record. Wicked, so that'll play it around, but I've got this blank bit of the sequence where maybe it gets, it's very repetitive, so I want to add an element of probability, and this is one of the new things in the product. It's down here, it says probability in the pattern settings. Another thing is that we're on the second half of the sequence, the second 16 steps, so I can go shift and view lock. I can still work on this side of the sequence. When I hit probability, it means that I can assign a degree of probability to a step in there. So what I can do is, let's go to note view, and I'll put maybe, let's do some step stuff. I'll put a note in here, and I'll put a note here, and a note over here. And then when I go to probability, I can choose this note and make it less probable that it's going to show up in the pattern. So let's see if we can demonstrate that. You hear how they're just coming in softly? I mean, very crude, but another way to do it is here in the drum section, where I'm pretty sure we've got our hi-hats on number 3. Take that view lock off. I might want 3 more hi-hats, but make them low in probability. So if I go probability, hold this, put them down there, and see what happens. On the synth thing, I think it sounds terrible. So I'm going to go in and we'll hold clear, and we can get rid of those things. But I liked it on the hi-hats, and we can do another thing which is Microstep. So we're over here on the... So maybe on that last... Let's go view lock. I find that really handy, because when it flicks round and round, I don't know how you guys deal with it, but it blows my mind a bit. I can hit gate, and on the second... By the way, these have 2 different functions. So you can either double tap it, or you can shift and tap it. But I'm going to hit this, and then we're going to... These are like different presets of Microstep. So let's put in that, and that, and... That sounds cool to me. So you're getting some variation as it's going around. That's about as much as I'm going to go in there as well. When you've got the external MIDI tracks going, you can see that with the scales, say we had like a Moog subharmonicon or the Novation Peak, it all goes together to control it. Right, next bit is, I want to kind of explain all the pads. We've also got a mixer. So at this point in time, we're thinking we're going to change some level. And what's great is these knobs correspond to the colors. These are mute pads, and these are level controls. And that's how you can do mute flips. Also, we got this master filter so you can feel pop. So we've mixed it a bit. Effects, we've got a built-in delay and reverb that we can apply. So maybe on the snare, on that clap thing, I might want to put an effect. So if I go to drum 2 and then I go to effects, these are presets. So this is delay in the mauve and these are reverbs down here. This is like a master effects off. And they're different presets, and then you've got an amount per track. So let's try this preset, and then I'm going for the snare on drum track 2. I dig that. So we could also, what else? On that twinkly bit, let's go for a reverb on the twinkly bit. So, hey, I've had like 3, I'm not saying I'm creating hit records by any stretch of the imagination, but a few hours with this, and because there's no screens, you can see that it's kind of sunk in. Even Taylor's like, oh, Jed's done a bit of homework this time. I can remember the button presses, and I can only imagine how capable you'd be if you spent more time with it. I don't want to go too much more down the line with that. There's going to be another video where I'm just going to plug in a synth in a keyboard and play some presets with Taylor shouting some keys at me, because I think that for the money, check it out on the website, it offers a crazy bang for buck. Anyway, just instead of playing you out with that, what I can do is also this other. Go check out Bow Beats, check out Red Means Recording, check out Novation themselves for in-depth feature kind of walkthroughs, because it really is as deep as you want it to go, this thing. It's incredible. And when you start pairing it with your computer and other devices, wowzers. But we're going to go to projects, and I'm going to ask Tay-Tay for a number between 1 and 16. 11. Thanks for watching.